Where's Dreaming Boys? Let me post an announcement. Boom. Boom. At DINO events. Alrighty. Get some music playing and we'll get this puppy going. Here's the page I was working on yesterday. I'm not going to explain exactly what's happening, but hope you get a general sense that spooky stuff's happening. But what's from this moment, which I'm not going to show you the cliffhanger quite yet, we cut back to Uncle Terry in the docking bay of the pirate ship. So here we go. For today, so we have, it's like a bitey stabby Chip. They're kind of having a back and forth conversation. This is the moment where the pirates really see the egg for the first time. They're honestly not even commenting on it. They're just showing them looking at it, kind of setting up that moment of pirates stealing eggs. They run back to go help the other pirates, and emerging from a cloud of smoke is some kind of creature. I can't really imagine who. But let's go. We're going to do both these today. I probably won't stream both of them like last time. That was very fun to do, but we'll see. So for this top image, we're actually going to keep it a little bit easy. So this gray section is going to be space, but it's like, kind of that same thing where it's a force field wall. Probably going to go yellow on that. So let's do. So I love this panel. I know it's like I'm the artist, I'm biased, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I want to kind of keep it simple. And not overdo it at all. Feels not quite right to me. That feels a bit better. So let's just add the shade here. Oh no, let's go. Okay, I like that. And then let's do, okay. We'll go like this. But then we're gonna delete a lot of it. Okay. It's not necessarily the most efficient way, to do this, but I really love like the slow layering up of shadows. I think it's just like a quick, easy way to make it look really cool and not overdo it. And hopefully it'll come together really quick. I think not that we're ever really going for realism, we're going for style, we're going for, kind of going for effect with a lot of the shading. Like, it does kind of create a more realistic sense of shading, because that's really what life is. It's like, lighting in real life. It's overlapping shadows coming from, depending on the time of day, one or a million different light sources. Okay. And the fact that Uncle Terry is here in the middle really helps that. And I'll explain, or you'll see why in one second. I mean, it should be pretty obvious. I think it's just like, you don't ever want to see, you never want to see that just like circle of darkness, because that is about as unrealistic as it gets. And just because I saw people asking in Discord about like what we're doing, things are moving forward on merch. I'm really just trying to get quotes for how much it's going to cost, and like the realistic ability for us to do some of the stuff we've been talking about merch wise. And as always, that conversation is just slow. It's like, I'll reach out with my ideas. They'll spend a week or two compiling everything that it would cost and take. We think about it, but it's going. Doing merch takes a ton of time, like to make the merch, obviously, but also just like fulfillment and stuff. So if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. That's always my thought. I'm impatient too. Like, I want this stuff in my hand too. But we're getting there. Is the point, I promise. I have not forgotten. Oh yeah, I was trying to think about other big stuff to talk about. We are meeting with Scholastic this coming week, which is huge, which is amazing. I can't wait. I mention this a lot, but publishing also moves pretty slow. So this has been a long time coming. And just because I think it bears repeating, like a publisher like Scholastic does move slower than like a traditional comic book publisher, right? Like they're all going to go through the editing process, the marketing process, all of that. But Scholastic is a little bit slower. The reason why this has always kind of been the goal is, I mean, it's really simple. They have that direct-to-consumer market. Like, if you're going through a comic book publisher, they have direct-to-consumer, but it's through comic book stores. I don't know if like graphic novels are through Wizard and Diamond. I mean Diamond, not Wizard. I don't know if Wizard exists anymore. But the reason why we're doing it the way we're doing it is because I just don't think that kids go into comic book stores, really. I mean, I started going into comic book stores probably in middle school. I think I would have probably ought to have at least picked up this book, like I read a lot of like, the traditional superhero stuff, but I still definitely leaned towards whimsical stuff when I would see it. The problem was there's just not that much good stuff like that. But I also think I was just a huge freaking nerd, I don't think there's many kids doing that. But if we get it through Scholastic, I hope kids still do this. I guess I'll find out next week, or this coming week. But, like when I was young, they would put those like little, like, printouts in our backpacks and stuff. It's like, here's what's in the Scholastic catalog this week, and not this week, but a couple times a year you get the little like pamphlet for your book fair, and you can order those books, and then the book fair comes, and it's like, it's a huge, enormous market that, like, obviously we're gonna try and, like, no matter what ends up happening, we're gonna try and get stuff in like Target, Barnes and Noble, which I think comic companies do for graphic novels too, but it's like only if they're successful. And me, I'm all about like setting ourselves up for success. And can we be successful in a comic book store? I'm not 100% sure, Like, I love the maxim that you should just create something that entertains you. Like, I think that's really true. But I do not rely on the idea, what the, I definitely believe that. That's the only way to make something creatively interesting. You can't maybe you can reverse analyze something and make it good, but I think you have to be extra aware not to make it soulless, but you have to make yourself laugh. Like if you like it, unless you just have truly weirdo, bizarre tastes, which I don't think most people do, then there's enough of other people that are also going to respond and connect to the work, right? But for me, I take that saying one step farther where I say, but I also don't want to rely on someone like me for success. Like, I am not a good consumer. I'm very picky, actually. And this is not a knock. I just think it's a true thing. I think consumers are very lazy. You have to meet them where they are. Like, if a kid sees this on Instagram, maybe he or she will go buy it on Amazon. But if they don't go to comic shops, I don't think they're gonna beg their mom or dad to take them to a comic shop. They're gonna do what they're used to, which might be Amazon. That's the big game changer from when I was young. It's like the most obvious thing, but it's another big if. You're lost in that enormous marketplace, whereas I always go back to, it's like that's what the publisher's job is to curate and get our book in front of the eyes of the right people. Enough shop talk for today. We're going to do the same thing. I actually love how that looks already, but it's not quite right. There we go. That's looking nice. I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but finally watched Guardians of the Galaxy. Some good stuff. That's what's been missing. It kind of makes me sad, you know? Like, is this possibly the last time I'm really, really interested in a Marvel movie? I think maybe, you know? I'm really sad that I really feel like Taika kind of let us down with Logan. I mean, he did let us down, but I guess I just had such high expectations for him, which is maybe unfair on my part. But like, James Gunn's gone, presumably Taika's gone, the Russos are gone, you know, who do we have left? I guess I should say, because I'm always more about who's writing and directing it, because I think that's such a clear you can't always tell if something's going to be good based on that. Just look at the Russo brothers' last 5 things they've done, but like, why does it look weird here? But typically you have a good idea, you know what I mean? Okay, we're going to do this the same way as we did last one. Okay, so this looks pretty good overall. And now let's actually keep these. It does make me super excited for what James Gunn goes on and does at DC. Which is weird. It's like a decade of DC movies that I haven't cared that much about, and now I'm excited for them. Let's try that again. Two more passes like that. Gotta get that neck just right. There we go. All right. like that. Let's click this now. Alright, let's finish it off with a nice little fade. I think I might have stupidly. I drew everything on the same layer. So it's got to be a little more careful, but believe me, it is worth it to get it looking good. I don't know what's different about this issue. I think it's because maybe it's like I'm just about to get to the really good stuff. Not that I've been rushing, because I think every page has turned out really fantastic so far. But more than ever, I just find myself really, really, really wanting to be done with this issue. Which I guess is normal, but I really gotta remind myself, like, here's what I'll say, because that's not quite accurate. Like, this is the action issue. Like, these pages mostly are supposed to be like, you know, you're gonna read them pretty quick. It's all about the emotion, the feeling. Oh, crap. Okay. Almost really messed up. Yeah, so these pages are meant to be read quickly. Like, it's action. This is like the payoff chapter. And I want to capture that feeling with the art. Like, typically, as you can see in this panel, it's like there's a lot of excess detail. I'm trying really hard to not get bogged down in that stuff, because I want it to read quickly, you know? But it's a very different thing to draw it than to read it, you know? And I gotta remind myself of that. Like, your first read through, my first read through, like, maybe I don't pick up on all the tiny little details, you know what I mean? but it's still going to read quickly. And it's important to remember that. I don't know why, but I don't like this color. I mean, I do know why. It looks too Halloween-y. I think that's a bit better. Okay, now what we gotta do Boom. What do I think? I think that looks amazing. No, I'll do the space stuff later. Alright, so we actually have to color match this. Time for a sip of coffee. Kind of look through here. And it doesn't have to be a perfect match, but I want it to be fairly close. Alright, let's see what we have going on here. So we have pink, like highlights with yellow glows to kind of give it that. Let's turn this off and make sure that's true. Okay. So an orange screen, and then okay, can do that. Easy. Crap. Wrong layer, excuse me. Happens sometimes. Thankfully, not that often. Much like Uncle Terry, we're kind of just coming in here, sweeping things out, and then we'll correct and refine as we go. Okay. Something I have to remember is there's supposed to be a glowing ball, glowing orb here, which is why his lighting makes sense. If I forget to draw it, then his lighting doesn't really make sense. It's one of those things that's like, technically the next panel doesn't even really make sense, but I don't think people will be reading that closely, but it's always better to do, more clarity, Excuse me. So I think for today, sometimes I'll kind of go through and do all the shading and Yeah, I'm going to still do that. I was going to say I'm going to do it panel by panel. Actually, I think I am going to do it panel by panel, because the next couple panels are pretty easy. So we really just got to get this one right. Okay. I have a tendency to go too dark. We don't want that. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. It's a little too dark. Okay. Yeah. So the finishing touches is one of the finishing touches is going to be really the inside of their brain cells kind of things. It's a little too dark. Uh-oh. Oh, thank God. It's got dragged. It's like I accidentally merged this layer. I did not. Okay, so what are we at? Okay, cool. Not that it would be the end of the world, but it would definitely slow us down. I have done that before. It's not fun. This is interesting to me. So something I think about a lot is like, I mean, there's the obvious benefits of finding a publisher. It's like the deadlines then become a bit more clear. You know, the big benchmarks then become a bit more clear. And it takes pressure off me, you know? Like, obviously, that's nice. Like, okay, you have 6 months to finish this. It's like, okay, I now have a lot of time, or whatever it is. But speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy and everything, I was watching a James Gunn interview. I'm actually a huge fan of. I saw Super 8 when it came out and really enjoyed it, even though it is kind of disgusting. Borderline too disgusting for me, but I appreciated it for what it was. Obviously loved Guardians when it came out. Went in there with zero expectations whatsoever and came out loving it. And everything he's done since. Like, my first watch, Suicide Squad, was too violent. But I've actually rewatched that movie several times, and it really sticks with me. I think I love Guardians 1 and 2. I think Suicide Squad and Guardians 3 is where it felt like very locked in. And he knew what he was doing. Like, he's mastered the James Gunn formula, the James Gunn method of storytelling. But why I bring this up is he was talking about just everything he's been working on. It was like one of those career retrospective YouTube videos. And he says he's always brought things in on time. Dude, wearing your Ziggy shirt to Target, just saw this. Heck yeah. I need to bust mine out. I haven't worn it for a little while. It's been kind of chilly here. Chilly, you know. We're so spoiled with our weather here. But, every project he's done is on time and under budget. And, like, one, that's just incredible, but it actually totally makes sense, and it really aligns with a lot of the stuff I talk about on here all the time on repeat. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you make something good? How do you make something creatively interesting? Like, how does he get away with stuff that it seems like others don't? And he said it pretty plainly in the interview. He was like, well, I know how to get what I want, and I know how to do it on time and under budget. And especially at Marvel, it's like there's always other projects that are on fire. There's always other projects that need, like, Kevin Feige's special attention, you know what I mean? And there's so much to be said for knowing how to just go and just do it. And he talks about like dailies looked good every day. Like there's just nothing, like making sure there's nothing for the execs to worry about. I was like, because that's exactly what we're doing here. It's like, I mean, sort of. Ours is a little bit different, but like when thinking about the world of execs and all that annoying stuff, it's like there's nothing left to the imagination. There's zero hand holding that needs to take place. Like even for publishers, it's like we are not, like I am not a difficult artist. You're not going to be like begging me like, please Matt, please, like hit this deadline. We need you to get it done by hand. I'm going to be like, I'm done months early, you know, like I'm over here working diligently, getting my stuff done, you know what I mean? And I think that is a real key to success, especially like early on, before you can see really what a project is. Like I talk about vision and intuition and stuff a lot, but it's like it's very, very hard for anyone else to see the vision that's in your head. And I think this is true for almost everything. And why I think sometimes execs get a bit of a bad rap. You know what I mean? I don't want to be too nice to them, but I understand it's like oftentimes things don't work until they work. Like even with these scripts, I have a very small amount of people that I'll share them with because I need them to tell me stuff that I can't see, right? Like the notes behind the notes and all that. And oftentimes it's like I'll get notes all the time from people who are very creative. I'm just like, I don't really get this. And I don't explain it. I don't like sit them down and be like, okay, here's what I'm thinking, blah, 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 blah. It's like, because I know when I draw it out, it's going to make sense. And it does. You know what I mean? Like sometimes in script form, it's very hard to see what a thing is going to be, especially something very visual. And that was a lesson I learned at Cartoon Network for sure. It's like once they start getting their fingers in the pie, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause they don't know how to make anything good. No offense. This is where I do, I guess, offend some execs. But, the longer you can keep that kind of person out of your creative process, and the more, like, it's very hard to give, like, if things are overall working, you don't really need to, like, I always say it's like, sure, it's like, if a exec wants, like, there's a line early on where DINO president, who's one of the big bad guys of the series, is like, I'll never stop kicking babies. It's like, that's the line I'm like, pretty sure I'm gonna have to change before it gets published. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about it. Um, that's an obvious, easy one to change, right? But if they're like, let's rethink this whole dynamic or something, and it's like, yeah, well, it's actually not, it works. Like, we're just way less likely to get a note like that because overall it just works, and the plot things are happening and the emotional things are happening, and it's like, why mess up something? You know what I mean? I think we're looking pretty good. Let's add our fades, let's add the glowing balls, the glows. I think we're almost done with this one. So just the highlights too. We'll do that last, actually. We'll do that for everything. And it's so interesting to me that things that are true on our small level are true all the way up to the top. It's like everything that we're doing now is applicable up to every level of success. Oh yeah, and to kind of bring my point home, which sometimes I'll admit I'm not always great at when I'm like really in the drawing zone. What the heck? He's so good at it, and I think a lot of the people who have succeeded in superhero movies do, is because they come from, James Gunn in particular comes from low budget, extremely low budget filmmaking, where it's all about speed, efficiency, knowing what you want, and quickly getting what you want. And it's different, but it's not so different from comics. You know what I mean? Like, in my eyes, it's actually really, really similar. Sorry, for some reason I managed to make this so much more complicated for myself. Alright, there we go. But yeah, that's that. And that's, in its own way, what I've always been saying about doing the comic. That's a huge reason why we're taking all this time to do it, is like, there's just nothing to like even now that we're pitching it as a comic instead of a cartoon, not instead of, just changing the trajectory a little bit. Like there's all kinds of questions that come up. What is this exactly? Why is, here's a great one. So there's a line, well, that's actually not applicable, but I'll talk about that in a sec. I can, as of right now, I can just say, there's actually every question that you have is answered in the comic. And it's actually kind of answered when you might start thinking about it, when you might start being like, so why does this happen exactly? And, when you start having moments like that, and it's like, oh, you just answered it. Oh, I don't even have to ask that question as a reader because it's already been answered for me. So yeah, that's that. What I will say is like the other great thing about being able to just produce and make things without any supervision is like, I think it lets me get away with more stuff, and we'll see how this ultimately plays out in the end. But like, so there's a moment in issue 2 where after the comet hits the Earth, we're kind of staying with DINO President's point of view for a second, and he runs out and he sees the lab and he sees like the insane amount of destruction that the comet has wrought on Earth. And he's like, there is no God. That's kind of a racy line, right? Like, it could definitely offend some people, but it's not supposed to offend. There's actually like, this is a comic about survival. It's about like finding your place in the universe, and to like, it's definitely not a religious comic, that's for sure. But to say that there's not any room for spirituality and, mythology and something like that, it's like, this is the way of introducing that and giving a character arc. Like, the babies aren't going to find God. I feel like that would be a little weird, right? Like a baby to become to even really care about God or the idea of a higher consciousness. Like, there's a really cool theory I think about like universal consciousness, where like each planet or each even sometimes like solar system galaxy is like a little node, an electrode in the universal consciousness, the way that like atoms and electrons and protons and everything bounce around in our brains and bring us to life. We are the same thing for something bigger to us. It's like, do I really believe that? Not sure. Is it a very cool idea that could drive some really awesome, unique sci-fi plots? Absolutely. So that's my thought on that. I'm actually going to, because he's too dark. And like, that's one line that someone could be like, I don't know, I don't like it. But I can kind of be like, do you see what I'm doing with this plot line here and the way it's setting off and paying off here? It's like, that's what this is going to be. If you truly hate it, we can talk about it. But I feel very strongly about it. I think it's worth including. And from there we can talk and adjust, right? And build up that sense of faith in me, the creator, which is always mega important. So we've been going for a while. Maybe I'll consider starting to wrap up. I'm also, just because I'm always worried about being misunderstood, like when I was talking earlier about the desire to rush, to me, I just want to make it clear, it's like you want to capture that sense of urgency on the page. Like you want the art to reflect this panic. So you kind of want to draw in a certain way that captures that emotion. There are some artists that are super, super good at it. I won't say I'm bad at it, but I have a clean drawing style, you know what I mean? Like, I'm more of oh gosh, yeah, I'll wrap up soon. Because like last time my Roomba's activated and it's about to get annoying in here. It's about to get really loud in here. What happens if we do this? Boom. Got it. Sweet. Okay, I'm super happy with that. It's a little glowy for me though. That looks cool, but not what we want. I'm gonna try this really quick. Just kind of even out some of the glowiness. Oh, that's why. I always forget that I've shaded his face. Alright, guys. So no one has to listen to my room but cleaning up all the dog hair in my place. I'm gonna call it here. Final thoughts. We're still going full speed ahead, still cruising. Things are looking good. Is to get a little less glowy, you know what I mean? It's a little too glowy. Let's ease up a bit. I wonder what would happen if I do this. Alright guys, we're calling it. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for spending some of your Saturday with me. I just love coloring. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.